Every game day, chefs at the University of Michigan's football stadium whip up food for over 100,000 hungry fans.
Named the Big House because it is the largest stadium in the U.S.
That's Chris Carr. He's in charge of a culinary team of 35 cooks.
There's an enormous amount of pressure on everybody, horribly stressful. Everything we do is based on time.
And they have to make every game count.
You know, a restaurant is open 365 days a year. We have to make all of our money, really, in 7 days.
The stadium aims to earn $1 million a game, just from food and beverage.
Game day goes quick. So if you ain't ready, then you'll be behind.
But that's not easy in a stadium that's almost a century old. There's only one concourse and one elevator to move an entire game's worth of food.
No. Usually it's about an hour away.
Here's how chefs race against the clock to feed football's biggest crowd. We're just 24 hours away from kickoff, and this is when the action picks up.
So the goal on a Friday before game day is always that everything is ready to roll.
Deliveries from the main kitchen come in on the service level. Chris says this one truck holds as much as $20,000 worth of food.
I'm sure he's got multiple pallets coming in. So it never stops, we just keep on going.
With your legs.
On a Friday like this, everyone's job is to get as much cooking done as possible.
You don't want to have to walk in on game day and then do a whole lot of production. You just want to just go.
In one area, they're setting up veggie platters and prepping salads.
So stuff that can't sit for a long period of time without being compromised.
They'll grill mark hot dogs and burger patties.
It's quick. If you can do it quick without dumping them all, it works really well.
I'm always teaching up for game day, though, so I'm a big Wolverine, so.
Chris handles salmon rosettes for salads headed to the private suites.
Can't be done too far in advance. It is fresh fish. You always have to make a little bit of spare. So if there's not one that's exactly the way I want it to look, I've got ones that I can work with instead.
Then chefs bring the food to the cooler to load onto carts.
There he is hiding back there. All right, there's your rosettes.
This is an organizational nightmare. Each of these carts ends up at one of over 70 kitchens and prep areas around the stadium. So chefs run through checklists.
Relish was 11. French onion is 9.
To make sure the right dishes end up on the right cart. They also label each cart with the item and quantity.
That way we know that we've got everything where it's got to be.
He's getting nervous.
He's had 400 carts to build, so.
I know, right?
In the main kitchen, hot food gets labeled with a color for each concession stand.
And then where's the red?
The red is actually pink. We don't do red here because it's Ohio State.
They'll move as much as they can on Friday before the concourse fills up with fans.
That way the food's up, ready to go.
Chris heads out for the day around 6 p.m.
When we walk into those doors tomorrow morning, they all know what's important.
A couple minutes to 1 outside the big house. Time to fire it all up. Chef coming in. Chef coming in. I announce myself when I come in. The stadium itself will be swept by bomb dogs throughout the course of the evening. The last thing you want to do is walk into a dark, quiet kitchen and startle a bomb dog. All right.
Chef Chris turns on all the equipment and runs over the plan for the day.
Then when we walk in on Saturday, all we got to do is fire and go.
By 3 a.m., his sous chefs start rolling in.
So far, so good. Now we're just moving into the next phases.
By 8 a.m., they're frying the chicken tenders, and they've got to move fast.
I'll go through 40 cases of chicken tenders each game just for the suite level alone.
Chefs also slice up meat for shawarma and tacos. Just like in the main kitchen, pizza preppers are racing against the clock.
I can say the challenges of trying to make 6,000 pizzas in 4 hours.
Buddy's is one of the stadium's newest vendors. Its Detroit-style pizzas are made off-site, but have to be cooked, cut, and boxed in the stadium on game day.
Just like the field, right? You gotta have a great team. We're just trying to go out there and put on a good performance. Come home with a dub.
Buddy's, like every other kitchen in the stadium, feels the squeeze from a lack of space. The University of Michigan's Big House was built in 1927. While expansions through the years have added more stands, suites, and towers, the bones of the stadium have stayed the same.
So typically, most buildings are going to hold 50 to 80,000. You're going to have, a 20% no-show rate. The no-show rate here is maybe 5%. So we're getting over 100,000 people every single game.
It makes moving food a nightmare. There's only one tunnel to cart food along, and only one elevator.
I've been standing right here for about 30 minutes waiting on the elevator. We just stopped on floor 5. I don't know if they have to get out. For reasons like this, I gotta wait for them to stop on their floor, and then I get off on floor 2, so we gotta go back in the elevator and push these halfway across the stadium.
Banquet server Cameron Brennan walks up to 6 miles a game dropping off food. It's a trek he doesn't seem to mind.
If you got a little bit of spare time, you could take a glimpse at the game, I love it though, because I get to watch the football game, It's real cool. The elevator took like 40 minutes, man.
Finally, Cameron drops off his delivery upstairs.
Well, I guess this is where we part ways. Go blue, go blue.
This is the level with all the box suites. They come fully stocked with food and drinks.
So essentially, we get all the food, we bring it up, it comes up all nice and wrapped. We'll unwrap it, and then as my suites get here, I pull out their cold food and set it out nice for them.
Sarah Jacobus has been serving the same 4 box suites since 2014.
So we've got frittatas, fruits, goes with their beautiful parfaits. And then I find that people will eat these more if there's spoons in them, so it works out really nice. And it's kind of cute.
It's 2 hours before kickoff, and the gates open.
So once gates open, I begin walking the building.
That's Michael Jordan, a different Michael Jordan. He works for Sodexo Live, the catering company for Michigan Athletics. Since the Big House has so little room to move inside, Michael set up water stations and shipping container food stands outside.
It's really allowed us to expand our footprint of the stadium.
The new layout has been a huge success. Total food and drink transactions are up over 13% from last year, increasing the stadium's revenue by 11%. Michael says that's thanks in part to simpler menus and a better flow in the concourses. Constant communication on walkie-talkies also helps the team keep the food moving.
With 100,000 people with cell phones in the area, service just kind of drops to nothing.
Across the stadium, workers are scooping popcorn out of trash cans, prepping pretzels, and finishing burgers.
There's no playing catch-up when there's 100,000 people in the building.
By now, lines are starting to form.
We are a really busy stand. I don't know. They love it.
Hot dogs are the stadium's #1 seller. It moves about 10,000 of them each game. Concessions move quickly. Servers aim to get food to customers in under a minute. Speed helps the culinary team hit its $1 million sales target each game.
And that's just in food and beverage. We're still not serving alcohol in the stadium.
This year, the university has 1 fewer home game. That means it's set to miss out on nearly $9 million in ticket sales, which makes food earnings all the more important. New ordering systems have helped speed up some concessions. Self-checkout averages just 18 seconds a transaction, and it's helped this burger stand double sales this year. Now it's crunch time.
So we'll, about 15 minutes before kickoff will be our first really big push.
Stay in here all day because they're all happy.
Finally, the action on the field kicks off. But the food doesn't stop rolling.
And then halftime is definitely our biggest push.
You're not walking around with this. You're mid. We score a touchdown, boom, popcorn goes flying. It's like shooting confetti out, but it's popcorn.
Michigan pulls off a win against Rutgers, but the Chefs' game day isn't over.
I tend to hang all the way through to the very bitter end. And once it gets to the end of the game, there's no leaving until they're all gone. So you're just in it.
It's not uncommon for staffers to pull 12-hour shifts.
I mean, a lot of them are here more than they're at home. It's amazing they keep coming back. Dempsey, don't smile like that.
Michael says that's why finding the right team is important.
Hard to hire 700 people for an event for 7 times a year.
About 500 of these workers are actually volunteers from local charities. Sodexo Live donates a percentage of food sales to their causes. The catering company pays only about 200 of them, including the chefs and servers. They make between $30 and $50 an hour. Chris does one final walkthrough of the now quiet suites.
Well, we've reached 3 o'clock. For me, I'm about 14 hours in on the day.
He's assessing waste.
Chili, they've gone through about half of it. The wings are gone. Handful of hot dogs, handful of veggie brats left. But when the day is done, the trash can never lies.
He'll use this info to tweak food ordering for the next game.
It's a giant stadium, and so you're going to have excess.
Volunteers pack up all the extra food to be donated to local pantries.
We're in the range of about 5,000 items a game of what they're picking up.
Then they gear up to come back in a few weeks and do it all over again.
I mean, I'd mark this one down as probably a solid B+, maybe an A-. Looking forward to the next 3 to go.